As with all wild foods, there's a brief window in which to enjoy blackberries fresh. So what we need to do is preserve, pickle and ferment, making sure we can enjoy this harvest throughout the year to come. With blackberries you can make vinegars and wines, fruit cheeses and leathers, but today we're going to make blackberry jam. It's a very easy recipe, it involves just 3 ingredients, but I'd advise to set aside a good chunk of time to do it. It can get messy, and when you're working with hot sugar and sterilising jars, it's good just to be able to take your time and enjoy the process. So let's get into the recipe. Okay, so we've got our ingredients, it's very simple. We've got our blackberries, we've got the lemon juice, we need a lemon, and we're going to keep the pips in the jam as well, because they're high in pectin and they'll help the jam set. We just need to remember to get them out before we jar it. So the recipe is just equal parts blackberries and sugar, and then some lemon juice added to that. So first we're going to weigh into a pan our blackberries. If you've got the time, you can leave the sugar and the blackberries together to macerate before you start cooking for an hour or so. That helps to start to draw out the juice from the blackberries and speeds up the process slightly once you're cooking. So the next thing we need to do is we need to sterilise our jars. So in order to sterilise these, I'm just going to place these into a tray and we're going to place them into an oven at about 160 degrees for about 15 minutes. And then we'll just leave them with the oven off, just staying warm, until we're ready to put jam in. Set your pan over a medium-high heat and keep stirring it until all the sugar has begun to dissolve and it starts to come to a boil. The whole process takes about 15 to 20 minutes, but you really shouldn't leave the pan alone because you don't want it to overcook and go past that temperature where it sets. I'm doing this in a wider pan because I think that the bigger surface area will mean that we can get to the temperature we need a bit quicker rather than boiling it for a very long time. So now we're just going to heat it up, and as it starts to steam and approach the boil, we're going to use a temperature probe to make sure we don't go past the setting point or we don't take it off too early. It's good to swirl around the thermometer, don't keep it in one place because you'll get hot spots and you'll get other points where it's a bit cooler and you'll get inaccurate readings. What I find when doing work with sugar is that it quickly gets over 100, 101, 102, and then it starts to take a little longer to kind of push through that stall moment and get over the finish line, which in this case is 104.5, but we're at 100 degrees now, 101. 103.4, 103.3, 103.4, 103.3, 103.2, as you can see, it struggles to get past that moment. Don't just take the pan off as soon as it hits 104.5, because you may find that after a quick stir that temperature goes down again. Make sure it holds at 104.5 or just over for long enough that you feel satisfied that it has indeed reached that temperature consistently throughout the jam. 104.7, 104.5, 104.7, 104.6, 104.4, 104.6, okay. Off. We've got our lids here, we're going to take out. Very carefully pour the jam from your pan into the jug, and then from the jug into your jars. Now we have our hot jars. The question is, which one? I think the small one. Once the jam is in the jars, seal them with the lids and set them aside to cool before storing them in the fridge. The jam will last for a good 6 months. And that's it, the blackberry jam is made. It was a very simple recipe, very enjoyable to make, and it'll save you quite a bit of money if you make a big batch of this in the summer rather than buying it in the supermarket. If you want to learn a bit more about fermentation, head over to my blog at oscarschumacher.com. I've got a big article about it there. The recipe is also there for the blackberry jam and many other recipes. There's only one thing left for me to do now, and that is to make myself some toast. See you next time.